So today I just reviewed, I mean not reviewed, actually I saw all the Phantasm movies 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was going to do like a one block long talking about the Phantasm movies since I got my 15 minutes, over 15 minutes range back now. And if anyone don't know this, let me say you don't need to use a phone number. Pretty much, I guess you have to come with a lot of videos and just be patient and wait. So I'm glad YouTube's doing that again. But I decided, you know what? Let me skip it. I just talk about the Final Fantasy movie. Since a lot of people hate on it so much, guess what? In this vlog, I'm gonna defend it. Um, Phantasm 4. When I first seen it, I was pretty much the hater of it. Also, I wanted more. And then when I looked at it again and I see it for what it was, I really did enjoy it after all. Part 4, Phantasm 4 Oblivion, pretty much takes place right after 3. If you remember the ending for part 3, Reggie got all these balls around him, and Torment like let him go. Like let him go. I guess he's gonna be part of the game. And Phantasm, I mean excuse me, um, Ice Cream Man. I always call Reggie the Ice Cream Man character. I can never give him call the character by his real name, which I can't remember now. But I always call him the Ice Cream Man. Excuse me. Ice Cream Man, yeah, Reggie Bannister's this character, but I'm calling him Ice Cream Man. Like I said, he walks off, pretty much has to find Mike, um, Jody, who's like the spirit ball, like he's in a spirit form now. He's like in the spirit, but he transfers to a spirit ball. If you see it in part 3, you know what I'm talking about. I'm telling Reggie, you gotta go after, pretty much you gotta go after Mike, you're his friend, and it's like, I think Reggie was like pretty much tired of it or corrected, but Reggie knew that he had to do this. And while Reggie's driving the road, he's going look for Mike. He saw upon the girl. The girl's a real bitch. Yeah, another bitch. Except for in part 3, the black girl was not a bitch. She was a good person. Which just was, thank you God, if somebody did for Reggie, but she left. But I wish that was a black girl in part 4. Would have been cool. And the only thing I was sad about this franchise is that Tim pretty much died. You see part 3, Tim was that little kid that was a badass. He had the gun, he had the trash, he had the freeze with the razor blade. Like Tim, the Tim character pretty much died. I wish they had like pretty much brought him back for part 4. That would have been cool, man. Tim is awesome. Anyway, um, so Reggie spotted this woman, saw this woman started the tall man. And he had the badge and he got him, and the woman had like 2 spits on her titties, evil killer tits. I was like, man, I knew this shit was gonna happen. Poor Reggie. But he battled the ball, killed the fucking mutated bitch, and then he went on the road looking for Mike. Anyway, you got Mike while he's like trying to kill himself, and there's like a lot of flashback scenes from the different parts of the movie. There's new scenes added in from like to me correct from part 1. Like Torment on the rope. I don't remember that scene from the first movie. You know, when down at the beginning, how his brother stopped the tall man, fellow hanging in the tree. Said like he wanted to cut the rope, and then Mike, like when he was younger, let him go, and then he went back to the present time. We got also a big part 4 different that you got a big origin story for the tall man. It looked like the tall man was like a surgeon or an undertaker, like during the Civil War time, if I'm corrected. And he was experimenting. He was curious about death, I guess. He was building like the dimensional staff, like a bigger version of it done back during the past. And it was good to see that happen. At least Tommy got a little bit of a character, a little bit of an origin story, which was kind of cool to me. I heard a lot of people that like that. It's okay. It's fine you don't like it, but to me, I liked it. I felt like it gave Tom Man a story. You know what I'm saying? It gave him more of a story. Some of you fans, I know you like the mystery of the Tall Man, but to me, I kind of like the story of the Tall Man. You know, it kind of gave it a gap. I was like, why the fuck is this guy doing this? You know what I'm saying? Why you killing people? And to this day, it's still a few plot holes that you want to know. Excuse my stuttering. A few plot holes here and there, and hopefully when Phantasm 5 comes out, hopefully that will all be explained. Like I said, story is, like I told you before, 95%, not 100% yet, but hopefully this does happen, and maybe this part 5 could be the final Phantasm movie, because I think it's time for this franchise to have a closing, a happy ending, hopefully. Anyway, while Mike, going to this different dimension, and the tall man kind of get him to go, it looked like the tall man pretty much want to pass the torch to him to take over his dimension, do what he does pretty much. That's what I think, Because one of the flashbacks, he got Reggie when he had a nightmare. He got up. Mike was like a tall man like character holding Reggie like this. He even had like eerie look, kind of like the tall man a little bit. So like it looked like he wanted to pass the torch. I think, Um, you got Jody still wandering around spirit form talking to Reggie, but mostly Mike, and then what is like Mike having doubts about his brother. Like, you know what? I don't think you who you really are. I think you want to like get me, pretty much, type of attitude. Like he realized that, and later in the movie, pretty much Jody kind of betrayed his brother. Like he was about to kill him because Jody's not what he used to be no more. You know what I'm saying? And when Jody captured him, the tall man comes to try to get the ball out of Mike. Mike used a tool fork to stop him and then escape. Um, the brother died, and tall man, like tall man coming out of the dimension. Mike was building like this invention, like his own spear, and blew up the tall man. Well, reality is we know that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to an explosion. Come on, because the tall man's keep on fucking coming back. He's like a clone and shit. But before that scene, Reggie's trying to use the gun to shoot the tall man, and then pause. The tall man called him the ice cream man. Hello, and pushed him out. And when when the tall man came back after the explosion, he came back from another dimension portal again, out from the dimension portal, ripped the ball out of Mike's head, and then walks off. And then Mike turned to Reggie, he thinks he's dying, and Reggie said, "You know what? I'm going to save you." He said, "You went inside the dimensional portal." And then after that, you have Mike having a flashback scene when he was a kid, and then he got into the ice cream truck, the ice cream man, Reggie Baxter's character, and then Reggie Baxter's character telling Mike, "Did you hear that voice?" He said, "Nah, just the wind," and they just drove off. Again, I know a lot of people hate this movie, and there's a lot of people that do like this movie, which I was surprised to see reviews for it now, with the like reviews part of it, which is great. I think, like I said, I kind of like the story part of Tall Man. I think it was time for him to have a story, well, on who he is and where he's coming from, but still, there's still a few holes that need to be explained, just a few holes, and hopefully, like I said, if the story is 100% true about Phantasm 5 does have a final script, and it comes to production, I hope those holes are filled, and I hope it has a closure with part 5. Hopefully, Phantasm 5 will happen, hopefully. Anyway, that's my little short review of movie talk of Phantasm for Oblivion, and just a partial review version of it. So let me just say it like that.